So, ladies and
Sweet.
gentlemen, welcome back to the Everything Real Estate Show. Today I have Darryl Watty from Kitchener-Waterloo-Cambridge area joining me on the show, and we have an awesome discussion for you. It didn't quite go the way that I had thought the structured show was going to go with my questioning and things like that, but it was really enjoyable the way that it went. So, we're going to be talking about what Darryl loves about what he does, how stories and unique homes and family scenarios play into it, the power of people's why if they're buying or selling a home right now, and why the numbers don't matter as much like they used to, and the success that you'll find comes with worrying about the why and getting to know your clientele better than just knowing the numbers. Not that knowing the numbers aren't important, but the why we believe is more important. It's a great discussion overall. We talk about a property that he bought that they're kind of doing a WeWork scenario out of, and a number of other things too. So buckle up and enjoy the show. My name is Cody Kraus, and I'm a real estate broker owner that's obsessed with everything real estate: investing, building, selling, developing, farming, you name it. I've been doing this since I was 18 years old, and I've learned a ton through trial and error, and I've met some of the coolest people ever. This is a show where I invite these people on to talk about their experiences and mine, plus everything else real estate. Let's go. All right, well, welcome back, everybody, to the Everything Real Estate Show. Today, I'm excited to have join with me Mr. Darryl Watty. And Darryl and I go back. I think we got a relationship probably now of about 10 years. And before I do a terrible job introducing Darryl, I'll have him introduce himself. So, who is Darryl for the audience?
Right. Darryl Watty, realtor, husband, father, realtor for about 16 years now. Before that, I sold cars for 9 years. Before that, I was working with something called a trade exchange barter network. Before that, I was one of those guys that did that student works sort of college pro painting. So I
Okay.
think early on in grade 10, I figured out that sales was my thing. The idea of sitting at a desk for long does not do anything much for me. No.
You're not even sitting at a desk right now. You're sitting in a lazy boy.
It's an old chair that came with this property that we picked up. So, and I like it. They're comfy to me and
Love it.
great. So, yeah.
Cool. So 16 years in the business as a realtor, busy life, dad with two boys, married, lots going on. But you've been doing it for 16 years, so you must love something about it. What is it that you love about working in real estate?
Um, Oddly enough, I think what I love about real estate is like the moments. And I've learned to really appreciate them and find my happiness in that because if you find that some people might say, "Oh, I love the money." To me, the money takes so long to get to
Yeah.
that I don't know. That means you're not happy until you're paid out, which is 3 months after the deal closes, and then there's 3 months on the for almost a short side many times from when you start meeting a client to when the deal is done. So that's some serious delayed gratification. I find that that's more of a byproduct of me doing my job well. I love the moments, like even for, there's moments in all phases and times of the deal. Like when you first, let's say you get a call to say, "Hey, I'm interviewing some different realtors,"
Yep.
and let's just say it's from a buyer's side because I still work with buyers. It's the buyers are more fun than sellers. Sellers are great for the ego and whatnot. Well, in this market, we can get into that. Sellers aren't always the best either. If you have a condo, but even when you're say interviewing with buyers and they're saying, "Well, I'm going to interview you and three other realtors," and you get to you tell them something or you understand something that they've said to you and you say something back to them and you can just sort of see even on a Zoom call where their eyes light up and it resonates and husband looks at the wife and vice versa, like it's sort of that moment there. It's
Yep.
normally if it's a couple when they both look at each other, like we can every stage of the deal, there's those moments, and like I'm getting goosebumps now. Like it's those moments that do it for me. And then at the end of the call, it's like, okay, well, this is where we move going forward. If send me the top four houses that you'd like to see. and I'd like to send you two or three, and then you can go take me for a test drive. I used to be a car salesman, so we'll go for a test drive, run through some homes, and see how that works for you. And even though at the start they're like, well, we're going to interview three other realtors, they're like, you know what, Darryl, we'll send you they just look at each other without even saying anything, like, Darryl, we'll send you those listings tonight.
Love it.
And it's like, that's moment number one. Um, Moment number two can come faster or slower. And I'm just sort of going off the top of my head, and hopefully this isn't too long-winded of an answer.
Love it.
But like, moment number two would be, let's say they've been looking for houses for a while and they keep going down that same route of trying to find that same house that is perfectly finished or whatever, 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 like really nicely, or it's underpriced yet again. And I try to tell them, I'm like, guys, this is gonna trail up. Like, this is gonna start getting high. The same reason you like it, some other people are gonna like it. So it's not gonna stay at this low price, 699, whatever have you. And they might lose a couple times and get burnt a couple times or not pay up a couple times. And then finally they're like, all right, Darryl, well, what house do you want us to see? This one. And so I take them to what I can't know. It was given to me by a realtor in Hamilton, but I like calling it the Nona house. So grandma's house. And I take them through grandma's house that has new windows and a new roof and a new furnace and new doors, probably hardwood floors still that are like in perfect shape because she cleans them, once a month
Or they're just
with
under
the
shag.
walls and these sort of things, but it just needs a kitchen
Yep.
and trim. And then they're like, I'm like, so you could make this house and it's done and it's cheaper and we're not competing against anything. And you can have a housewarming right away and you can show people the before and afters and get it done the way you want to have it done. And once they finally get that, or then they call me back after they move in and they've done their, like, it wasn't that bad and it's ours and we've made it ours. And like, that's a moment. The moment when the let's say the husband, we'll keep it simple, the husband wants this type of house, the wife wants this type of house, and I'm like, okay, well, what sort of house did you guys grow up in? And I want to know from each one of them what sort of home they grew up in, because to me that's what they visualize as home, right?
Yep.
If you don't want to dream bigger, so be it. But then we go through something, and the moment when they walk in that front door and the husband, I can see it look in their eyes because I can see both of them, right? And they're looking forward. I open up the door first, look back, and he's just sort of like looking this way, and she's sort of like just looking this way because they feel it immediately that that's their home, but they're afraid to look at each other because they're hoping that each one of them sees the same thing they do in the home, and invariably that's the home, and we just got to figure out how to get it. That's another moment. And it's the moments, man. It's, the clients coming back to me at Christmas events and stuff like that and telling them what they've done to the house and what they're thinking about doing to the house and these sort of things. Like, it's awesome. Like, it's the moments are what does it for me. Everything else is a byproduct.
Cool. Love that. So it's about the moments. The pay is a byproduct. If we're doing it for the pay, what kind of service are we going to give in the moment if the pay doesn't come till 3, 6 months later, anyways?
Well, yeah, yeah. So, and I believe people would sort of see that through, right? It is what it is. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's not. It's not the money. Money's good when there's deals, but when there's not deals, you can still appreciate the moments, right?
Love it. So if I had to guess, you're a big fan of stories. Like you like stories. How'd you guys meet? What's the house that you grew up in? Tell me about the neighborhood. What kind of childhood you want to, give your kids here. Fair enough. Big story guy. You like hearing people's background, everything like that.
I think your stories is where understanding is like born or fostered or actually nurtured, was within the stories.
Okay.
Bec to me, yeah, yeah, stories are huge.
So on that note, I've heard you talk in the past, and you've basically said, I don't like selling boring houses. Like you'll be driving around a neighborhood and you'll go up to one specific home that's very different than the other homes with kids' bikes on the lawns and just be like, hey, Darryl Watty, you know what? I gotta say I love your home. Like it's super cool. If I don't know if you say if you're ever thinking of selling it or whatever, I'd love to be the person that sells it for you. But we think of like new standard subdivisions where they all have 40 or 50 or 60-foot lots, similar homes where you were allowed to pick from, maybe two or three different layouts, or even maybe they're all the same home and even the same exterior finishes and things like that, doesn't really get you fired up. So you like unique homes that tell a story. Do you want to maybe talk about that a little bit?
Well, yeah. So I put it this way: I will sell those homes. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but with many elements of I guess this industry and many industries, a lot of things are becoming commoditized, right? And then if the home is the same as the next home is the same as the next home, it's the same as the next home, then really, yes, it's sort of located in that location, but if there's more than one home for sale, you're almost just trading a commodity.
Yeah.
And maybe it's my ego peeking out, but there's really no special way for me to highlight the benefits of one home versus the next. And
Pricing really is the only motivator there at that point.
right. And
Yeah.
so as a salesperson, I don't know how you really feel great about yourself or really sort of separate yourself um, if all you're doing is selling on price. Like I've been again a student of sales since I was in high school, and I've always believed to sell on quality, not on price. And in certain cases, fine, you can sell on price, but yes, you still have to be on the MLS. Yes, you still have to be exposed. Yes, 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 but it's just what's really that special, right? So we can try our best to find out certain things as much as we can, like if it's a newer subdivision, I'd be looking at, okay, if we can get a place on the court, that's where the court starts on the right-hand side, then hey, at least in the winter time, the snowplow is probably going to turn the plow and push all that snow into the middle, center court. And then that way you don't have to shovel out that big, dump off of the snowplow. So that's fine, we got to get creative, but I can still do that on old homes.
Yep.
Um, does the backyard face west? I'm a firm believer that you're going to probably enjoy a house a little bit more if the backyard faces west, because if you need shade, you can create shade pretty easily. But if you need sun, it's really expensive to create sun.
That's
So,
interesting. So
like to me,
I
that house, there's a little bit of an inherent deal on that house that with the backyard that faces west. Um,
can
some
I
people will try
ask
to
you a
sway.
question about that?
Pardon?
Can I ask you a question about that?
Yeah,
So
shoot.
like
Yeah, yeah.
our last two homes were in the same new neighborhood, and we on purpose did not want a west-facing backyard for that reason. It's really hot in the summer. And so our neighbors with west-facing backyards, they hang out on their front porch in the summer while we're out on our backyards because ours face east.
Yeah.
Can you create shade? Yeah, I like it to be from trees. They take a while to grow. What about south-facing?
Self-facing is great as long as you have windows. You're going to get a lot of sun when you want it, which is in the winter,
Yeah,
right? And in the summertime, it's for the when it's the hottest, it's running across the front of your house. I'm I'm okay with that. The inside of the house is going to stay a little bit cooler, but
yeah.
you can
Or,
get
sorry, I
wall.
guess I meant south-facing backyard.
Yeah, self-facing backyard.
Yeah, okay.
So it's just what I'm saying is there's no in the summertime, there's no direct light coming in through the back of your house. So your house should stay a little bit cooler because the sun is a little bit north of us
It's higher. Yeah,
in the hottest part of the summer.
yeah. Okay.
Probably opposite in Argentina.
That would make sense to me, I think.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so we like homes that are unique, partially probably because they go along with, I guess, the other thread that we're riding along here, which is you like things that tell a story. You enjoy a good story, right? So,
Well, I also like something that's irreplaceable, right? So if you have that backyard or on a court location with a big yard, then average, then you have room for a pool and room to, kick around a soccer ball or something like that. Something that separates us from just that next house that's the exact same.
yeah,
So Green space works that way. Bigger yard works that way. Orientation works that way. Um, but for the most part, those are still all those factors that you can have and appreciate and sell in a more established neighborhood as well.
Okay, so on that note, if you were selling a home for a person that had a home in a neighborhood or even a condominium in an apartment where the homes look like all the other homes, the condos look like all the other condos,
Right.
what would be your advice to that property owner if they were looking to sell in the next, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years? Would you say renovate it so that it's not like every other property? Like give it something unique to stand out?
I would say consistency and cleanliness,
Okay. But not
without a doubt.
consistent necessarily with the neighborhood or the building.
No, consistency within the home.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is some people will run around and update stuff and be like, okay, hey, I got all new fixtures. Okay, so to me, all new fixtures means all new fixtures. It means light fixtures that are, if you're going black, then the light fixtures are black. Kitchens and bathrooms accepted, we can go down that route. But if the light fixtures are black, then I expect the door handles to be black. I expect the hinges to be black. Everything should look like it's done and consistent. Because the moment that there's one piece of inconsistency running through a house, then all it people can't quite put a finger on it, but they're like, yeah, just the house seems to need work. So if we're doing the fixtures, we're doing the hinges, we're doing the door handles, everything is the same because that's consistent. And if you're updating doors, you're updating trim throughout the house. If you're going 5-inch baseboard, continue with the 5-inch baseboard. Like you've seen a home that they're like, oh, we just recently finished the basement, right?
Yep.
So the basement was done within the past 4 years, but the house is 20 years old. So the basement's all white and millennial gray, as I like to call it, or whatever, and all these things. And then upstairs is sort of golden oak.
Yep.
Well, all that's to say is you have to do work about something to make it consistent. It's not undone. When you have something that's new besides something that's old, it makes the thing that's old look even older
Or out of place, I
or
guess.
out
Yeah.
of place, which means the place needs work, right? It would, so they're not get, I don't, do not believe that same person's getting all their money out of that basement. If you're doing everything to bring it up to a consistent, so if they've done the renovations of the upstairs and the basement hasn't been done yet, well, basements can be a little bit cheaper. Like, let's roll out new carpet, let's paint the walls, and maybe slap down some trim. But the inverse almost just jumps out that the house needs more work.
Or
So
similarly, like if someone started doing renovations, but they did one room at a time and not the whole house,
that's
and you
right.
go in there and you're like, man, since I went through the front door, I've seen six different floorings. Like they got tile here, they got parquet here, they got hardwood over there, they got
Whatever
carpet
was
in the
on sale at the
basement.
time. Yeah. If you're going to do new flooring, buy enough flooring for the whole house,
Yeah, even if you're
and you
not
can
going to
do it
lay it right
later.
away.
Hmm.
Yeah. No, that's good advice. Now, so consistency throughout the home, not necessarily consistency within the neighborhood or the building. What would you do to differentiate, like if every other building or kitchen in the building, if it was a condo, for example, has a
Hmm.
white kitchen, would you do like a blue or a black or a gray kitchen? Would you differentiate it in that way, or would you maybe go, let's go a little bit more over the top with some of the fixtures that we've put in place?
So right, yeah, condos are interesting. I with condos, I just make sure it's clean.
Okay.
Like that paint better be. I'd paint first. I'd fixture second, because that's a big, big, big price. Unless you have contractor friends or whatever, in which case, fine. You know, go nuts, update everything. If you can do everything at 45 cents on the dollar, you're gonna at least get your money out.
Yeah.
So I believe that, and it would differentiate, make it look newer. So if you can make it look newer than everything else, great. If you can't or don't have the money to, then everything needs to be in great repair and it needs to be clean, clean, clean.
Okay. That's
Like,
simple enough.
yeah, clean
Okay.
cells. Clean cells.
Oh, big time. Yeah, I mean, you know what? If you just clean your windows, make sure all your light bulbs and pot lights are working.
And the
Um,
same tone,
get same tone, get rid of all the smells in the house, whether it's kitty litter,
right?
cigarettes,
Yeah.
dog, kids, cooking with certain ingredients. Like, get all the smells out, just make it clean. Even if it's an ugly house, if
Yeah.
it just presents as clean, people walk in and go, wow, it's old, but seems really well maintained, right?
Well, it's not even just that, and I'm sure you've seen it as well. We're just out of the pandemic, thankfully. But if you have a kid that's 5 or 6 years old now, they sort of grew up during that pandemic where everything was had to be sterile.
Yep.
And mom would be like, Timmy, don't touch that. Don't touch that. No, no, keep your hands to yourself. Oh, no, no, just frantic. And if a place isn't clean, people naturally feel that way. Oh, don't touch that. Don't touch that. Like, don't even want to take off their shoes.
Yep.
Well, if that's the mindset for the parent as you're walking through a home with their kids, or they're going to be bringing their kids to this house, there's no way they're going to be feeling at home, especially if the kid's there.
No.
And if you can't feel yourself at home, you can't envision yourself in the house. You're not interested in buying it, at least not without, some serious sort of contingencies built in, mainly on the price,
Yeah. You're
for
you're
them
definitely
to
not going to be
want to feel
excited about
comfortable
buying
there.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. On the note of unique homes, you're in a pretty unique set there. Tell me about what's going on. What is this place that you're recording this from?
Oh, okay. Not everybody knows this, but this is more hyper local, hopefully. So anyway, so myself and my broker, I'll try to do not a long story. It's a long story. So this is a property in downtown Kitchener that I own with a partner, my broker, and it's in a historic area. I love historic homes. To me, they're the most irreplaceable of them all. People are like, oh, it's old. Well, to me, if it's been standing for 100 years, I've got more faith in it standing for the next 100 too.
That's fair. Yep.
Believe what you will, but I believe double brick does stand for something too. So yeah, I'd sold a home on this street before, and I had mentioned in a video that I did to sell that other home. I made sure that the cameraman walked by this property here just to kind of show off how cool homes can be in the neighborhood. And I guess my broker overheard me or talking about, great homes like this, and he's like, "Oh, then this property came for sale." And I'm like, "Oh man, you got that house for sale. That place is awesome." And he goes, "Yeah, well, you can buy it." And it didn't sell, it didn't sell, it didn't sell. They were sort of marketing it as possible redevelopment. That didn't necessarily work because it's in heritage, and zoning was a little bit tougher to turning it into like a five bedroom or whatever. And I was looking for the need for some office space, and this is downtown Kitchener. Our main brokerage is in Uptown Waterloo, still close, but Kitchener people are Kitchener people, and Waterloo people are Waterloo people. So the idea of having a base point in Kitchener was attractive to me, and it came to a point where the seller's like, "Man, just get me this and get it done." And so my broker came to me and he said, "Hey, you know that property that you like? Um, you could buy it. I'll waive my commission and, make it happen. We're going to net out to the same. And I could buy it with you if you wanted to." And I'm like, I've always loved that place. So because it's an old house, I took a look at the pictures. I bought it unconditionally without even seeing it because I know what old homes have. There's only so many costs
I
that
was going to
are.
say, everybody would say the exact opposite of what you just said. That
It can
home's
only be so
old,
bad as
so
an
I
old
want a
home.
home inspection, right?
No, no. I walk around the outside. If the brick doesn't move, it's staying square to me, right?
Yeah.
And
And you're like,
and
okay, I can
and,
replace
and, and
plumbing, I
we're
can replace electrical.
right. And it's also we're I was also though buying from a lawyer,
Okay.
so there's a little bit of duty of care on that as well.
Yeah.
So if there's anything that's needed to be, you can put in your clauses represents and warrants about certain things, fair enough. But to me, this guy wanted money. He wanted to sell it. So there's two parts of a deal, time and money. And
Yep.
if I'm not giving him well over above the money that he wants, the second thing I can give him is his time. So it's firm, exactly when do you want to close? So be it. He's happy as can be, and I also let him park in the back for a little bit longer too after the deal was done.
Nice.
Why not?
So that's a conversation that we have a lot because I mean, we had a really fast-paced market for the last decade. It's not quite as fast right now, right? We're kind of moving to a balanced market here in Windsor, Essex, and I'd be interested to hear what's happening in Kitchener-Waterloo-Cambridge. But after seeing 10 years of a boom market, a lot of sellers like, okay, so the home's for sale now, Daryl. Like, uh, what else are you doing to sell it? We've had people come through, we've done the open houses, maybe we've seen one offer and it wasn't great, or we haven't seen any offers. Well, what next? And that's usually my, excuse me, I got a sore throat. That's usually my thing that I talk about there is time and money is okay, well, we either wait to get the money that you think that it's is going to happen, or we speed up the timeline by reducing the price. And
Right.
if you have lots of time, no problem, we'll wait. Although that doesn't necessarily guarantee that you're going to get the money that you're looking for. But if you have more time, then it gives us a little bit more time to search for the perfect buyer, and hopefully the timing works out where they're looking when we're selling. But the only way to really speed up the timeline is to change the price if we're not marketing the property or the best way in the first place, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, and I'd agree. I'd agree 110 points. You give me 10 years and we'll probably get you more money.
Yep.
So what's your life going to be like over the next 10 years?
Yep. So
Right.
a lawyer owned it. Did they live there or work there? Like, is this a commercial
What's
property or
law
residential?
office? Law office. So we have two other lawyers that also it's a big old home.
Yep.
We have two other lawyers that also rent here. My partner runs an office space out of it. I have an office space here too, and my wife also uses it a lot for her consulting business too. So it's nice to have extra office space. You got a nice old boardroom with books in it, and it's we got to keep the old law books too, which is kind of cool too.
Okay, so it's like a heritage designated home that's got to
Yeah,
be in a commercial district where you have that zoning that allows you to use it for commercial use. And then you got
very
like
rare.
three, four
Only this
businesses,
side of the street has it. So again, irreplaceable real estate. I can't say no.
and it's got like three, four businesses running out of it in the meantime.
Four different, and actually we've got a new tenant coming in. We have one extra office space, and again, we weren't racing to fill that spot, because I think culture goes a long way, period, within businesses, within families, within neighborhoods. And even though it's a law office, like there's no need, people don't lock their doors here. It's just you're happy to see other people if they're in their office. It's no, oh, it's this person. To me, that isn't worth $1,000 a month for that. And so we're waiting for a referral, a reference of somebody that wanted to come in. One of the lawyers was like, "Hey, there's a gentleman that's looking for an office space. Would you show it to him?" Showed it through. Really nice fella. And I'm like, "Yeah, this could work out well. What are the deals?" And it wasn't like, "Oh, you got to do better for me." No. Yep, that's a good deal. Treating people fair. Expect your rent to stay the same for the next 2 years.
So is it kind of like a WeWork space where I rent an office from you, but then we use the common elements together, like the kitchen, the bathrooms, and then if I need to reserve the conference room, then I can?
That's exactly the idea.
I
Yeah.
love it. I love it.
Yeah, so there's the main floor is I don't know, pulled up there. Yeah. The main floor is you're sitting in the lounge right now, and it's an old home, so it's like windows on this side, books on that side.
Like a
There might be
parlor.
a fridge behind you.
Love
And
it.
then we open up doors here, and then that's the boardroom that's there. And then as you come in the other side, there's another, I guess mutual usable office too. So to me, if lawyers want to be lawyers, and I know the way I like to work, if I'm deep in on like a file or something, and even though I should be paperless, I got papers everywhere.
Yep.
And so I'd rather just come and sit down at a clean space to sort of do my meetings with clients, and then your work can stay your work. You can close your door behind you. So, four office spaces upstairs. My partner uses the back there's a room here for his business, for his other business. There's another back room back here. I put like my staging accessories in there too. Um, so it made sense. And then there's even an attic space that um, we store stuff in. There's a chance of myself and some colleagues doing a fantasy football podcast out of there this year. We'll see. It might happen.
Cool. So, is there a receptionist?
So there's a spot where a receptionist can sit
Okay.
if somebody wants to be fancy like that, but everybody runs on appointments now.
Yep.
So you know when your client's coming in, right? So just tell them to come in the door and it's if I'm down in one room, then the other room's open, they can meet in and people just walk in. It's not a big deal.
So I love this concept because a lot of businesses, they're like, hey, look, I need a space. I can't keep running it out of my house. The dog's barking, or the kids are at home, or I just can't keep it clean. Or, you know what? Maybe I don't want my clients knowing where I live and pulling up
Yep.
to my house all the time, right? So I need a space to go, but I'm not going to go, rent or buy an entire building when I really just need one office and then sometimes a boardroom. But also,
Yeah.
like, we had a we had an office in a like a satellite office at our company. It was like, I don't know, 600 square feet or something like that. The rent
Wow.
wasn't that expensive, but then you add in the Wi-Fi there, so you got to get an internet, you got to get in your other utilities. Well, now all of a sudden we got to, have it cleaned every now and then, even though it's not getting used a lot. We have a security system there. We have to have a printer there, and so it's like, okay, maybe the one cost is rent. Let's say it's $1,000 a month, but the other costs could add up to another $1,000 a month. So I've been thinking about this. Like, I think there's a big demand and a good place for, I guess, an opportunity right now in a lot of markets, small town Ontario or even big city. You have a lot of entrepreneurs or small business owners, professionals, whether it's a lawyer or what have you. They need somewhere where their Amazon or Staples packages can be dropped off.
Yep.
They need to put an address on a business card that isn't their house. They need a conference room maybe once a month, but it doesn't make sense for them to pay for that square footage the rest of the time. And you
Right.
know what? Like, one Wi-Fi signal is probably good enough for 6 or 7 business people to run off of. I know that we do 20, 30 people here at our office. So if I can just pay, a flat rate rent and it's got all those other benefits included, huge benefit, totally justifiable, $1,000 a month versus, even one location that might cost me 1,500 or 2,000 or 2,500 in rent. Then all the extras, you might get up to 4 grand pretty quick. But now I
Yeah.
could have satellites in 4 different areas instead of just one main base.
Yeah, and I'd agree with you. So yeah, we have a kitchenette here too, and again, the location is great. Like core to downtown, people can just walk to get their coffee. Bonus to this was after we moved in, we find out that 6 houses down, they're turning the place into like a coffee shop, and so now it's like a wicked coffee shop just down the way. So,
Perfect.
um, yeah, so Abigail, who works with me, she's like, yeah, no, 2 or 3 days a week, I'm working from Roy Street. I said, yeah, no problem, go ahead. Uh, so that's the address of this place. But yeah, it works out great. And I think also I find because this was a home, so this property actually used to be, you've heard of Broil King barbecues, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and like Weber grills and so forth.
Yep.
Yeah, so this was actually the old estate for that family like like way back when 100 years ago sort of
Okay.
thing, which is kind of cool that there's some history of it. There's actually a safe, a walk-in safe in the basement, which is really cool. No money in there though, but
No.
whatever, it's
Hmm.
fine.
That's
So
neat.
I think if it feels like something and it has a sort of home feel to it, that's what the tenants seem to love about it because they get a feeling here that they can't just get from a strip mall,
Yep.
right?
No, it's something. It sounds really cool. And I love the idea of cooperating with other professionals too. Like, and what a side benefit where we're sharing a space with a lawyer. Well, guess what? In real estate, we got a lot of law questions, whether it's about easements or, how is the
Oh yeah.
closing going to happen? And they're mutually beneficial. So I love that idea of professionals from different industries being in the same space and helping each other out. I think it's a great idea.
And
Um,
one of our lawyers is a criminal lawyer, so I hope I really don't need his opinion much, but he's one of the
Yep.
coolest guys on earth, though.
Oh, good. Yeah, I was gonna say, I hope you don't need his services, but if and when you do, then we're good.
And that's
So,
why I keep some wood.
yeah.
All right, perfect.
So you're in Kitchener-Waterloo-Cambridge.
Yes.
What's going on in the market right now, Tri-City market?
It's nice that we had a little bit of an uptick in sales last month. So 595 sales, which was good. Before that, the previous month we were sitting at like 457. So it's nice to have the sales increase. We're still getting outpaced by new listings,
Yep.
um,
So inventory's
which
building
inventory's still building, but
at a
you
slower
still
rate.
need sales to have confidence in the good properties having a chance to sell,
Yep.
right? So whereas at this time last year we'd be sitting on about, and this is for the region there, 130, 135 sales per week. Right now we're just pushing over 100. So I guess down by 25%, or 20, well, 30% almost. Um, and then that said, there's like we had 100 sales last week, and there were also 100 relists last week. So like
Like a cancel and relist.
cancel and relist. So it's not that it's popping, but at least we have enough sales and turn that a good property, if priced right, can sell. Now that doesn't go for condos.
Yeah. So
Condos are
what
dead.
is selling? What's your average sale price? Like, what would the average sale price get you in your market?
Yeah, average sale price now is 787.
Okay.
And average detached is 927.
Okay.
So, average detached for 927, that would be there's well two ways to shake it. That would be the newer one garage, 3 bedroom, um 2.5 bath, unfinished basement. Well, a little bit, no. You're gonna have a finished basement for that price. Um, but yeah, that's about 1,800 square feet. That'd be like pretty new within the past 10 years.
Okay.
With age, you'll sacrifice that out. Or if you get back to sort of your 1970s builds and those sort of things that I like, for that price of 9.25, you can get that 4 bedroom home, 1 bathroom upstairs, 1 bath on the main floor, finished basement with bathroom, and maybe a pool. That's but single car garage. You start getting double car garages with these things, you're over 1 million pretty
Okay.
quickly. Yeah. And then the average sale price, it can really change a lot. The one of the interesting things was last week, of the 100 sales, we had 23 of those sales were over 1 million. So
Oh,
it's
wow.
kind of nice to know that if there's the value there, then the people with the money will buy.
So maybe the smart money's starting to move. They see an opportunity to move up.
The high-end stuff has still been selling, which is crazy. It's being sold for a little bit less, but when you calculate, firstly, nothing new is selling. No brand new builds are being sold because your cost to build is still
Higher than
way more
resale.
than the cost of
Yeah.
resale, right? So if somebody wants something, or if they're sort of gauging, do I build versus do I buy resale? Well, there's still so much value versus a build to get that big property just to buy it resale right now. Like
Yeah.
massive.
No, we're seeing that too. Like our average sale price is about 570, 580. So call it 600,000. Under 600,000 total seller's market, like 2.5 months of inventory. You get
Oh
over
wow.
600,000, and it's like 6 months all of a sudden. You go over 1 million, and all of a sudden it's like 18 months of inventory. But we're still seeing like the high-end homes that show really well, that are clean and priced well and don't need a ton of work. They're
Yep.
still selling for great money. It's just if they need any work, if they've been neglected, if they're not
Yep.
clean, if they're not priced just right, they sit.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and right now our absorption rate is 3.5 months overall, with condos sitting at 8 months.
Yeah.
So, but that said, the nice stuff sells. The stuff that needs work or isn't clean, and I just can't. Sorry. The stuff that feels like it needs work. Again, I go back to consistency,
Yep.
right? Like now you have a chance to edge your gardens to separate yourself right now. Like just edge your darn gardens. Whether you do it or not, whether there's weeds in it or not, make 90-degree angles, 90 degrees. Sorry, just I explained that to somebody just earlier this week.
Yep.
You have a chance to sell. You can sell because with condos being at 8 months and 3.5 overall, that should still say seller's market, but it's not seller's market to the valuations of last year and the year before and the year before that.
So I've been telling people for the last, 5, 8 years, it hasn't been a great time to downsize because if you're selling a home that's priced, its value is over the average sale price. When you're getting into something new but smaller, the pricing doesn't end up being that much different. The way you're talking
Mhm.
about it, it kind of seems like there'd be a great opportunity to downsize from a detached into a condo right now. Say you're a retired couple, maybe a single person widow. Would that be the time to do it? Because you're selling closer to a balanced market. You said 3 months absorption rate in detached, where you're 8 months in condos. Would that be the opportunity in the market right now, is to go from detached
I
to a condo?
there is a little opportunity there. The condo inventory is a little bit imbalanced as a lot of the ones that are being sold right now are your one bedrooms, maybe one bedroom plus dens that are being bought by investors.
The
So
dog
people
crates?
aren't really downsizing into those,
Okay.
right? There are some two bedrooms and there are good value there. Yes, those same two bedrooms are probably selling for at least 20% off what they were last year,
Okay.
even though that same house might be down by 10. Um, the other part of it is and this is something that was brought to my attention, and I'll get into it. I don't really actually for the most part, when it comes to downsizing, I don't actually like to get into the numbers too much, to be honest with you.
It's more about the
But
story.
the opportunity is somewhat here. If you would have sold in, say, October had a little run. We had a little run in October. So if you sold in October, you'd be up probably around 15% to where you are today on the same single detached home,
That's
I'd say.
big. Wow.
10 for sure, right? Well, just on a nice, just because there wasn't much inventory of it. However, if you sold and put all your money into stocks, you'd be negative net because stocks dropped. So what are we talking about? Like you can say, "Oh, I wanted that price back in October." Okay, fair. So even in your market, if that difference is only 10%, let's say, okay, from October, but your stocks are down by 20. Okay, now we're really looking for that whole perfect world again when everything's rosy and oh yeah, no, I play my cards perfectly at all
I
times.
time every
You would
market.
have put your money in
Yeah.
the markets are down by 20%, but you sold your house for 10% more. What are you? Net negative.
Yeah.
So what are we talking about? People talk about their house like it's a lottery ticket, but no, your house is a means to you, a means for you to be happy, a means for fine, it is your biggest investment, but the downsizing now, I very rarely am I doing deals, and this is sort of where, and I'm might tangent here, and hopefully it's okay we go there,
Big time. Yep.
Cody. But at the start of this year, I had the slowest January, February that I can remember. Like terrible. I'm like, do I still know how to sell houses?
Yep.
And then my business coach spoke to me, and he's like, well, why are they selling? And I like that, and on a light note, I understood why people were selling, but I didn't truly get to like, why are you selling? Why do you want to sell? Why do you want to move? Because if we don't ask those questions, we just assume we're making that as a purely financial move. Well, if I'm getting older and I'm retiring, and every consecutive month my back gets tighter, my knees feel weaker, but I want to go and visit my family in Hong Kong, England, whatever, or I
Nova
want to go
Scotia.
spend time with my
Yeah.
grandkids in Toronto because they just started playing rep soccer, basketball, hockey. Well, really, what are we talking about? Because yeah, we could have sold it back in October. Oh, you would have known not to invest in the markets. I'm sure your financial advisor said, "Yeah, don't give me the money to invest." I'm sure they would have said that. No, you would have put it in the market. You'd be net less money than you are now. So you move now because you want to move, because life doesn't stop. You're still sitting at numbers better than 2020,
Yeah.
right?
No, that's
So
sorry. I love
yeah,
that advice because I've always
it
told
just
people like
the why is everything right now on deals. I'm not doing any deals for people without a strong why.
I've always told people like for primary residence, I don't think you should sell based on timing the market. Like we had a bull market here for, like I said, 10 years. Homes went up two and a half, three times their value. So a lot of people are like, these are values we've never seen. The market's going to crash. We're going to sell and we're going to get into a rental. If they were wrong, which I saw it happen, unfortunately, I feel really bad for these families where they were wrong on that. All of a sudden, they get into a rental, and then 2 years later, 3 years later, we're still in a bull market, and they can't buy back half the house for what they sold for at the time. And in the meantime, they're paying rent every month.
Right,
And it's like, okay, well, when it comes to our primary, let's not try and time the market on our primary. Like we got to
right,
live somewhere at the end of the day. Rental properties, by all means, it's an investment. You're trying to time the market when it comes to stocks. You're trying to time the market when it comes to real estate. So if you do want to try and time the market, I would say do it with your investments, but not with your primary residence. And at the same time, it's relative because if you're selling and then buying again in the same market or a similar market, well, yeah, maybe we're selling for a great price if we sold in 2021, but we're also buying in at a high price too.
correct. Yeah.
So,
So yeah, if like I have people, I'm doing a lot of downsizing right now. Um, and yeah, it's I don't know. I'm really happy. The people that all they do is talk numbers and stats, man, I don't know. Maybe that's what they do, but you got to get out of your own way.
yeah.
Like, like how many more birthdays do these grandparents want to miss? Like, how many less countries do they want to visit? Like, you don't, to me, unless you're sitting down with them and their financial advisor, you know exactly how much money they're sitting on. Who are you to say?
Yeah. And I mean, it's helpful to them too, right? Because if the conversation is like, hey, you know what? When we listed the home, the market was here. We kind of expected 750. Since then, this is what's happened. And I think it's reasonable now to maybe expect 700. You know, if we could get 750, is it worth it for you to hang on however much that, indefinite amount of time is?
Mhm.
Or are we just moving on? Like, is it more important to get your number or is it more important to sell because your granddaughter's expecting and you want to be there? And we're tired of the 4 hour drive in between or whatever, right? And if it comes down to that, well, then we could be waiting 2, 3 years here. And to your point, like, we got to be thankful for each day that we wake up and breathe.
Right.
We can plan as much as we want, but there's a proverb that's been going through my head the last couple weeks, and it says, "We might roll the dice, but the Lord determines how they fall." And so we
Right.
can plan, 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 but that doesn't mean that our plans are going to follow through.
And,
And
and does it really matter? If it truly matters. So there's some folks that find might want to sell their house, right? And but this is their plan. Their plan is if I get X amount from my house, right? Then what I'm going to do is take the rest of the money, fix up the cottage, make it year round, and then I'll just get a pied à tête or whatever, place the rest of my head, a little condo in town. But as part of the plan, they need X. Okay, fine, right? We can do that, but I would also say just don't list now if that's part of the plan and be happy where you are.
yeah, if it all revolves around a number, is it the right plan?
Right, but I'm just saying realtors, so okay. Again, January, February was tough. Past couple of months have been great because I had to reprogram the way I think, the way I talk, the way I communicate with people. And that's hard to do when you've been doing it the same way, especially over this crazy bull market that we've had, where you can talk about the numbers and nothing but the numbers.
Yeah,
But because you're talking about the numbers, actually, the funny thing is, I know my clients way better now. Granted, it takes a little bit longer to sell, so you're spending more time with them as well.
that's fair.
But I know my clients way better now because I have to ask the why of it. You can't just talk numbers. And the realtors that are still talking numbers, I don't know how they're doing deals.
Oh, and
I
maybe they're
really
not.
don't,
Yeah.
because numbers weren't working for me. And I wasn't helping people get on with their lives.
It's one thing to talk numbers when the values are going up, but I consider myself lucky that when I started in real estate sales, it was a very down market. And a lot of times we were having conversations with people where they owned the home for like 10 years.
Right,
And we were telling them it was worth maybe the same, maybe a little bit more, maybe even less than what they paid for it. And sometimes that ended in tears at the table, usually bad. And then, boom market, okay, I get the pleasure of telling people that their home's worth 50, 100, $200,000 more than they expected or
right.
more than they paid for it or whatever it is. And if you removed the last 3, 4 years from the calendar, if sellers, hey, Darryl, thanks for telling us our home's worth this. We didn't know it'd be worth this much money, right? And
Right.
maybe that's a good thing, maybe it's not, because again, it's relative if we're buying and selling in the same market. But we got used to the really, really high numbers and we didn't like hearing the low numbers. And to your point, when the numbers aren't great, we don't spend a lot of time dwelling on the numbers. It's more, okay, well, you knew a lot of the realities of the market before you called me in. Like, why did you call me here? What can I help you with today?
Sure.
So we know what the home is worth. I can't magically make it worth, 50 or $100,000 more. I'd
Hmm.
love to sell it for you and get as much as we possibly can. And I
Get your
enjoy the
market
challenge
price.
of
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But how is this going to accomplish your plans? Is it all about the numbers or are we selling regardless? And now we just need the best strategy to make sure that we sell, not just get marketed at a ridiculous price and then it, comes
Yeah.
off the market in 3 months or 6 months.
Yeah. We won't leave money on the table now,
Yeah.
but we can only talk about now
Yeah. Unless they have the luxury of waiting.
or crystal ball.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. This has been a really good chat so far. Anything that you want to bring up or leave the listeners with?
Um, I'd say overall, I think it's if anybody can sell right now to opportunistic people, I gotta give them credit too. Way to go. So there's the people that, the market's going up, so I'm going to try to time the market and buy it this way or that way. I give them full credit. But an old, I'm sorry, well, she passed away, so I can call her old. A legend in our business here. Her name was Mary Bales. She says people buy houses, not numbers. And that's something that I has come back to the forefront. And we were able to talk numbers for so long. And I think a lot of realtors got bad habits, including myself, over these past few years, in terms of just our talking and not really understanding our clients. I remember when I got into this business, you should know what your clients' hobbies are. You should know you should know all these things. You should know where their family lives, what they like. You should know all this stuff because that's like we're the ones that are getting them their home,
Yep.
right? If we don't know that, whose job is it? Then all of a sudden, Susie at their office becomes worth a lot more to them because they know them better than we do.
Yep.
So I think it's getting back to know your clients. They are investing probably their biggest investment with you. Know your clients so you can serve them inherently for them, serve them the way they want to be treated. Platinum rule, whatever, but that's sort of the idea. And also with that, get out of bad habits. And for that reason, it's hard. You got to think more. I suggest, as other realtors, man, get sleep, get proper sleep so you're coming in fresh every day and you can give your clients your all because it's harder. It's
Yep.
harder right now.
Cool. Love it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's Darryl Watty in the Watty Way. If I was buying or selling a home in the Tri-City area, I'd be calling him. Darryl, if they want to look you up or find you, how do they do that?
I think Darryl Watty, or it's Watty, Watty Way. So WATTYWAY.ca, or
Cool.
Watty Way on YouTube, the Watty Way on YouTube, the Watty Way on Instagram. It's there. It's Watty, WATTY, and way is the way to go. So there you go. But Cody, it's been an honor. Thanks for having me on.
No, my
Say hi
pleasure.
to the family. Um, I don't know how many kids you're up to now, but I think it's like 26 or something. And
Close. Yeah,
yeah, and leave your wife alone for a sec, will you? And say hi to your dad for me too, please.
absolutely. Thanks so much. And yeah, say hi to your family for me also. Take care, man.
Deal. All right, ciao.
Thanks for listening to the show, folks. Please keep in mind that this show is not offering legal, financial, or accounting advice, but rather opinions and experiences in the world of real estate from the host and the guests. If you're enjoying the show, please rate, review, and share with your friends and colleagues. And if you think that there's someone that needs to be on this show, please feel free to connect them with me. Or if there's a topic that should be discussed, feel free to let me know. Thank you so much, and bye for now.